Imagine calling the police because you think your house is haunted. Not because you heard a strange noise, but because your furniture is moving on its own. Your children are screaming, and something inside your home seems determined to make its presence known. It literally sounds like the plot of a horror movie, except this really happened, or at least one family claimed it happened. This is the story of the Enfield Poltergeist. It all began in August of 1977 in Enfield, a quiet suburb in North London. Peggy Hodgson was a single mother raising 4 children in an ordinary council house at 284 Green Street. There was nothing unusual about the home until one night her daughters, 13-year-old Margaret and 11-year-old Janet, ran into her room in tears. They told her that their beds were shaking. Peggy assumed they were having nightmares, but moments later she heard loud knocking coming from inside the walls. She searched every single room in the house. She checked outside. There was nobody there. The following night, things became even stranger. The family claimed a heavy chest of drawers slid across the bedroom floor by itself. Peggy said she tried to push it back against the wall, but it seemed to resist her. Terrified, she called police. When officers arrived, they searched the entire house for intruders or any logical explanation, but they found nothing. One officer later reported seeing a chair move across the floor without anyone touching it. Another heard unexplained knocking sounds but couldn't determine where they were coming from. Word spread quickly. Neighbors came over and reported hearing strange noises. Reporters from the Daily Mirror visited the house. Soon, paranormal investigators Morris Grossi and Guy Lyon Playfair began documenting everything they witnessed. Over the next 18 months, they filled notebooks, took photographs, and recorded hours of audio and interviewed countless witnesses. Then the case took an even darker turn. Janet began speaking in a deep, raspy voice that sounded nothing like her own. The voice claimed to belong to a man named Bill Wilkins, who said he had died in the house years earlier while sitting in a downstairs chair. Investigators recorded these conversations on tape. Some believed no child could produce a voice like that for such long periods without damaging their vocal cords. Skeptics argued Janet was simply using ventriloquism. The family also reported objects flying across rooms, toys moving on their own, and doors opening and closing, lights flickering, and unexplained knocking that investigators sometimes claimed to hear themselves. Photographs appeared to show Janet suspended in midair above her bed, and believers said that she was levitating. Skeptics said she was simply jumping. And that's what makes this case so fascinating. Years later, Janet admits that she and her sister had faked some of the incidents. They confessed to bending spoons and making noises and playing tricks on investigators. To many people, that settled the mystery. But Janet insisted they only faked a small number of events because they were tired of adults constantly watching them. She maintained that many of the most frightening experiences were completely real. Even today, investigators remain divided. Some believe the Enfield Poltergeist was one of the best documented paranormal cases ever investigated. Others believe it was an elaborate hoax fueled by frightened witnesses, media attention, and 2 imaginative children. Nearly 50 years later, nobody can say for certain what really happened inside that small house on Green Street. Was it the greatest haunted house case ever recorded, or one of the greatest hoaxes in modern history? Maybe the most terrifying possibility is that both sides are right, that some events were staged, but others still have no convincing explanation. So what do you think? If you had walked into that house in 1977 and heard those knocks echoing through the walls, would you have run or stayed?